The PL Show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil.
Well, so the December winds are blowing already and I'm feeling the chills. I bet you're also doing the same. Christmas is just about some few days away and it's a Sunday evening. Great pleasure to be coming your way with the phenomenal lady show. My name is Klordey Fritzal Abban. This is the phenomenal lady show. Here's where we share powerful stories by successful women who are doing amazing work in their various fields. And tonight, it's no different. We're going to share such story with you that will inspire you. This show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil in Tuntum Master, Feckle Spray Starch, Look Sharp. We will return shortly after the break.
Should you Roma to me?
And Tuntum Master, a baby Jumanamo. She's so madahati. Roma Insecticide Spray ada Roma. Interfere, Entatia, Mekecheha. No way! Shemikuno, and Tonton Bako Crown Fanamo. And also a pussy. Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil. And out there we sham. Roma and
Roma and Tonton Master.
Wow! My uniform looks different.
Feckle Spray Starch, Majimo Point. Actually, pause. When you want to remember Namunto the morning, I feel your spray starch, Papa. On particles be water, no wrinkles, smooth ironing.
Yes, Papa. Feckle Spray Starch. Me here perfume.
Also, yes, guy.
Feckle Spray Starch.
Look sharp.
Look sharp. Look sharp.
Welcome back from the break. The PL show is brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil in Tuntum Master, Feckle Spray Starch, Look Sharp. Well, today on the PL show we have one superwoman, one amazing, phenomenal lady who will be sharing her story with us. She is a writer and the CEO of Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino. Her name, Franka Maria Andoh.
Franka Maria Andoh describes herself as an emerging writer. With several children's books published, she also has a collection of award-winning short stories entitled I Have Time and Other Short Stories. Franka is a serial entrepreneur and the CEO of Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino, a cafe listed as one of the leading cafes in Africa by Ventures Africa. Alongside running the cafe, Franka is the co-founder of an art space called Antique Lemonade and the CEO of Lemon Tree Publishing and Film. Franka supports efforts to empower women and has a strong interest in street children. She is actively involved in the Christ the King Soup Kitchen, which feeds an average of 50 individuals every single day.
Welcome, Franka Maria Andoh. You've been in this hospitality industry for 20 years plus, I guess.
Yes.
Tell us how it all started.
Well, I lived in the UK for 6 years. I came back to Ghana in 1994. And I remember I started a job at a logistics company, and I decided to go for lunch one day. And I went to Country Kitchen, which is in the Ringway Estate area. And when I was going, my boss said to me, "Are you meeting somebody for lunch?" And I said no, and she looked at me in a slightly weird way. So when I got there, the waiter said, "Are you expecting somebody?" I said no. I sat at the table by myself, and I realized people were kind of staring at me because I was the only person sitting by myself. So I ordered my lunch, I sat for a while, I got increasingly uncomfortable, and then I told the waiter, "Look, just pack it for me." So when my boss saw me with the bag, she started laughing, and I was like, "What's funny?" And she says, "Nobody goes to lunch by themselves. I mean, you have to have a date or go with a friend." And I mean, having lived in the UK and being able to go and sit somewhere by myself, I thought, well, why is it that somebody can't create somewhere that if you want to be by yourself, you can still feel comfortable, and if you want to be with people, you can also feel equally happy. And I think that's what actually birthed the idea of Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino. Somewhere that when you come in, you can be who you want to be. You don't have to, force yourself to be somebody else, basically.
How's the journey been? Very challenging, tough, or smooth?
Yeah, it was not an easy journey. Coffee shops were not popular at the time. I started in '97. It was more like spots, places where people could have beers, soft drinks, coffee, tea, nobody really did that. So initially it was more like expatriates, like, who had a coffee culture, who were coming in here. I didn't have a big Ghanaian clientele. And in the beginning it was very slow. I mean, sometimes we do one sandwich the whole day. And then sometimes I had to go and work in other places so that I'd be able to pay my staff at the end of the month. So it was not a simple journey. It was quite a difficult journey in the beginning. There were many times where I thought, well, why don't I just go get a job, or why don't I just rent the shop out, or why don't I just sell paint? And then somebody said it's equally difficult. Yeah. Somebody said, well, it's equally difficult to sell paint. Nothing really is easy. So, you're best sticking at it. And I'm glad, I took that advice.
The name sounds pretty interesting, Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino.
Okay, so basically, cappuccino is a type of coffee. It's named after monks. They're called the Capuchin monks. And the way they wear their hood, it's similar to the way the milk sits on top of the coffee. Josie's my mom's name. I mean, my mom was a big source of inspiration and encouragement for me. My mom was a teacher who became a baker and did very well at it. So my mom was one of those who just struck her own path. Like, she didn't really follow the norms. She didn't really do what everybody else was doing. And I think that I get that from her. So at some point when the business started doing well, I renamed it Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino as an homage to my mom.
So you sort of took after mom?
I think in some ways, I'm a little more organized than she was. I think I favor both my parents in what I think is quite a helpful way. My dad was uber organized. My mom was uber creative, and it's a good combination, basically. As an entrepreneur, what's been your most challenging moment? Oh, there are many challenging moments. I still have challenging moments. You do? Yeah, it's a kind of business that it takes a lot for a client to be happy. You can give them a great meal, and just delaying the bill can trigger, somebody who's already having a bad day. So it's the kind of business that every process is important, from how you take the order till the client actually leaves your door. Anything can go wrong, and it sometimes depends on how the client feels coming in. They may already be having a bad day, maybe the wife's upset him, or the husband's upset her, or she's having a bad day at work. And so it might take just something very simple to just trigger, a little outburst, and that doesn't really look good for us. So after the moments, we get plenty moments. Was there ever a day you felt like, I'm tired of this, let me just shut down and mind my own business? Once in a while. Once in a while. But I've also been really blessed by this business. I've met a lot of people. It's a kind of business that allows me to tap into different levels of my creativity. It gives me time to write. So, I always say you can't point at your village with your left hand. You have to be appreciative, irrespective of the challenges. You have to be appreciative of what somewhere or something does for you, So you want to focus more on the pluses than the minuses, yeah. So, for instance, if I am a new client or customer and I walk into Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino, what should I expect? What am I going to see? Totally different from the other cafes around. I think what I've tried to create is a blend of, when you walk in, I want you to know that you are in Ghana, you are in Africa. I'm not trying to be European, even though the concept itself is a European concept. I want you to walk in and know that you are in an African space. And I use art, I use furniture, I use different things to showcase that. But if you're a guest, say from Europe, or you are used to the coffee culture, I want you to also walk in and smell good coffee. I want you to feel that you could be in Venice or somewhere romantic or anywhere. So it's trying to create that balance of space where you are aware of where you are, but it's reminiscent of other places. And that's always been like my vision for the space.
Between writing and being an author and an entrepreneur, if you were forced to choose one, which one would you strongly say you are? A writer, an entrepreneur, or an author?
That's an impossible question too. Because I live off my business. I cannot live off my writing currently.
Okay.
You know, for what we get paid in royalties, it's very difficult to live purely off your writing. So that's why I say that I am very blessed, because my business allows me to channel my other creative energies into things like writing. And if I make a little bit from the writing, fine, that becomes like the icing on the cake. But I enjoy what I do here as well.
So business started before writing, or writing started before business?
I started writing when I was like 8.
Wow.
I was writing, initially I was writing reports on my brothers. Like when my mother traveled, I would write reports on things that they'd been up to. So my brothers were much older. So if their girlfriends came home, I'd do like little reports on this one's girlfriend came home at this time and so I wasn't very popular at that time, but anyway. So actually that's when my writing started. And then I started writing plays. Like at Christmas, I'll write plays for school. And I used to write really good essays. And I went to a Catholic school, I went to Christ the King. And at that time we had a lot of nuns who were teaching who were from the States. And sometimes they would take my essays home.
Great.
And I think that's when it occurred to me that I wrote in a way that people found interesting, because they would use my essays to go and entertain themselves in the convent. But beyond that, nobody really told me that you can be a writer. It was not part of the language then that, you know, writing is something that you can do as a professional, as a choice of career. So it took me a long time to, you know, it kind of took going to the UK and being in a space that recognizes those sorts of gifts. And I remember when I was coming back, my boss said to me, Franka, you should write. And, you know, I mean, I've been in Ghana most of my life, but it takes an English guy to tell me that, you know, you can write.
I realized that your themes or titles of your book are directed towards children more. Is it because you love children naturally, or you love to write about children?
Okay, so when I started reading to my daughter, one day I opened the book, and even though she wasn't technically reading, she was able to tell me every single word on that page, which kind of spooked me a bit. But my daughter's always been somebody who loves books, and she likes to read. She still does. And I realized that there were no books that had her reality. You know, we were buying books that talked about snow and, you know, things that really we don't experience here. And that's actually how my journey to start writing began. I wanted books and stories that reflected Ghanaian African children in terms of the tone of the characters, the hair, the food they ate, you know, Kilawili, and landmarks that they could recognize, like the Holy Spirit Cathedral, like, you know, places that as they're driving in the car, they can identify in their stories, because that's how you engage children, when they can make a connection, you know, and that all chips at a child's confidence. And I'm very open to exploring other cultures, but I feel like our children should be grounded and confident in who they are as Ghanaians, as Africans, and then they can open up to other experiences.
And the truth is, if we do not tell the stories, others will tell it in a different way for us. So as a writer, do you think that Ghanaian writers and those who create content, they have been fair enough in terms of telling our stories?
I mean, I like to say that when I first started, there were not a lot of us in the sort of craft. But right now, there are quite a few, you know, Ghanaian writers. I mean, someone like Chimamanda has done amazingly well and sort of really put us on the global, you know, platform. It's encouraging for young people to see that, because then it becomes a source of inspiration and a source of, you know, guidance for them to say that, okay, if I have a gift, I can use it and I can get a voice. Because for me, the thing that's important for me is having a voice. And it's through our stories that we have a voice, that we can also contribute to the world. Because right now it seems like we're always getting told what's good for us. And you may think that storybooks are very simple, but that's one of the great ways of getting our views, who we are out there, as opposed to somebody, like you're saying, telling our story and tweaking it in a way that actually suits whatever agenda they have for themselves.
So an entrepreneur, writer, and then you collect art as well, and you create antique lemonade.
Okay. So 2 years ago, my parents' home was sort of vacant, and I decided to convert a part of it into an art space. I came up with the name Antique Lemonade because I like antiques, I like old things. And lemonade because lemonade is something that you can take a bitter product and make something really sweet out of it. And I think that's the life story, that in most cases, things are challenging, but if you stick at it and you're consistent, it can become something sweet for you. I mean, my cafe is a good example of that. So I came up with the name Antique Lemonade. And we are a space that supports young creatives, and we are strong on collaboration, like how do creatives come together to create what I call enduring products. And when I say enduring products, I mean things like film, like books, things that 10, 15, 20 years down the line, people can still access. A book is a book, 20 years down, somebody will look at Dokuno the Donkey and see how Accra looked at the time that I wrote that book. It's a form of documentation, which is also very important to me. I feel like we're not documenting, we are breaking down buildings, we are just getting on with doing new things, but we are not documenting who we were and what we have now. And at some point, Accra will not be recognizable. All the old buildings will be gone, we'll have all these shiny buildings. And it'll be like, so what did this place look like 10 years ago? It's through things like books and film that you can capture, so that 10 years down the line you can watch and say, oh wow, there used to be a cinema here, this used to be here. And it's also a way of us seeing whether we move forward or not.
Do you have the young people come around and then you impacting on them?
Well, we have monthly conversations where we choose topics, and those topics are quite wide-ranging. The last conversation we had was about mental health. We've had conversations about relationships, about managing money, because a creative also has another life. A creative also has relationships, and relationships are very important for a creative, because if you are with somebody who doesn't understand your creative journey, then it can be a problem.
True.
So I think it's crucial that, in as much as it's important to talk about the creative process, it's also important to talk about the other things that become part of a creative's life. So we have these monthly conversations in this space, very comfortable, very cozy, very intimate. People are able to share very deep things that bother them and have discussions, and also recognize that sometimes you're not alone in your journey. That in itself is a source of encouragement.
And what are some of the things you hear some of these young people tell you?
Well, I mean, it surprised me a lot to find out that a lot of people were depressed, suffering from depression. And we had a workshop here about authenticity and writing honestly. And we talked about how social media has changed how people perceive life. Like, everybody's putting their best life out there, and nobody's really talking about the days where you feel like, you feel really horrible about yourself, or you don't feel beautiful, or you feel like you haven't done anything with your life. Everybody goes through days like that. But all you see are all these grand events, big weddings, big engagements, people having a good time. And for somebody who feels like they haven't really done much, even if they have, those constant images of, grandeur, it can make people feel a bit inefficient or incapable or insecure. So we talk a lot about, being honest, especially for creators and writers. Sometimes go into yourself and be honest about how you feel. If you don't feel good, talk about it, but you can't curate your life to only show the glamorous side of it and then tuck the challenges under the carpet, because you don't know what that does to somebody out there who's in a very low place and needs to know that they're not alone, they're not the only people feeling like that. So those are some of the conversations that we have with our young creators. Very important conversations.
So Red Light, your recent play was staged at the National Theatre. Just hold the thoughts. We'll go for a quick break. We'll return shortly with more with Franka, Maria, Andoh.
Shady Roma to me.
Andoh master. Ebe ye juma na mo. Hwese o madahati. Roma insecticide spray ada Roma. Interfere, entatia, meketche ha. No way. Hwemekunu. Andoh ba ko kra afane mo. Eno so a empusi. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Emma wo dem we sham. Roma,
Roma and Tonton Master.
Yena. Maketiano, why are you?
Oh!
Tum preku.
Saso.
Mwa.
Saso.
Abban, oh, you saso. Yena, saso.
Yes, saso. Madam, saso. What?
Saso.
Emo beyond that. Saso. Ekum tum. Ni mwa. Saso. Kum tum preku.
Well, welcome back from the break. We're still on the PL show, and Franka Maria Andoh, who is a writer, entrepreneur, and filmmaker, was sharing very insightful conversations with us right here on the PL show. And Franka, before we went on the break, we're talking about your play Red Lights, which was staged at the National Theatre, correct? Moments like this, how does it make you feel?
For me, it's a recognition of the importance of writing in such work, because I think that before then writers were putting work together, but the acknowledgement was not necessarily there, whereas in this case I work very closely with the production house to make sure that as a writer, I got the recognition that I needed, and that the thoughts that I had for the play were actually what was done on the day. And the production house were amazing. They were very hardworking, very committed, and I feel like between myself and the production house, we were able to get people to start thinking differently about what they do, because the play was centered on a hospital, basically. That's where the whole scene was, and some of the behaviors of our health professionals and how that can cost lives.
Now let's talk about women empowerment, because I know that you believe in women empowerment. You believe that young women must be empowered from our personal conversations that we have had. How important is that?
I grew up in a space where, I had 5 brothers. I was the only girl. But I grew up seeing my mother working, having her own business and doing very, very well with it. And what I saw is that it gave her a certain independence that I think even as a child I admired and I aspired to. And what that meant was that, my mom was able to do things for us that pushed us a little bit further than maybe if she hadn't, had her own business and her own money. It probably would not have been possible. She put my brothers through university in the US. It's not to say that my dad couldn't afford to do it, but as far as he was concerned, Ghana was as equally a good a place for them to get education. But my mother felt no, and it actually worked out for them in the US because the way they learned and the way the US system was, it meant that they did very, very well in that space. So I think what I learned about women empowerment was, one, education is key. It's important for women to be given equal opportunity to go to school and do whatever they want to do and to be whoever they want to be. There's a lot of noise about feminism and women empowerment. But
You believe in that?
I do, but I believe more in setting an example as opposed to sort of stirring the waters. One of the things about my mom that I admired was that she was able to play her roles. She kind of structured her life. So she made sure that as a wife, she did whatever she had to do. My dad was very structured. He ate at 6, 12, and 6. So you would not have a situation where at 12 o'clock he'll come home from the office. And he had a really big job. So when he's coming for an hour, he needs to have his lunch and go. There would never be a situation where he'd come and it's like, oh, I was busy baking, so I didn't get the chance to fix your lunch. So she played her role as a wife very well. And what that meant was that my dad really didn't have anything to complain about, to say, oh, well, you know, when I come home, my lunch is not ready, so, you know, you need to stop doing business and focus on the kids, or stuff like that. And I think it's that balance, it's that being able to balance, you know, if you're married, being a wife, being a mother, being a child, because sometimes you still have parents who are alive. So how do you structure all these things in such a way that you are ticking off all the boxes, but you are fulfilled as well? Because women tend to do a lot of giving. Okay. And so you end up sort of drained and tired and a little, you know, frustrated. So it's important that you take me time, you do things for yourself, you do things that make you happy, and that makes your life a whole life. I mean, for me, that's important. That being content and being fulfilled and feeling that you are working on whatever purpose God has for you. I think that to me is empowerment. Living a fulfilled life, living a content life, giving back, making an impact, making a difference, and using your life as a way of inspiring other people, sharing your issues, sharing your pain, sharing your difficulties. So people don't see you as, you know, you have everything is okay. You know, people can connect to, you know, your journey, and it becomes an inspiration for their journey. So yeah, I mean to women empowerment, but if you're empowered and you're not content, or if you're empowered and you're not making an impact, then what are you using the empowerment for? That comes with a huge responsibility to yourself, but also to society.
You are highly involved, or so much involved, in the Christ the King Soup Kitchen, and you're very passionate about it, I guess. How did it start? What did it take you to say that you want to be involved in this?
All right, so some years ago I fell ill, and I mean, honestly, I didn't think I'd make it to my 50th birthday. And as part of that space that I was in, I started thinking about my life, and I thought, okay, I have a business. I've run a business for almost 20 years. Yeah, every Christmas we go to a psychiatric hospital and we give them jollof, or we buy them soap and stuff. But I just felt that, you know, God wanted more out of my life. God wanted me to do a bit more than just running a business and just once a year going to give as part of our corporate social responsibility. And so that's how I got involved in the soup kitchen. I used to be the chair of the committee. I'm no longer the chair of the committee, but every Wednesday I go and spend a few hours with the boys, give them breakfast, and if, you know, I feel like I need to have a conversation with them, I try and use that opportunity to encourage them. The reason why it's important to me is I feel like sometimes when I look at these boys, I feel like I almost see them, if they were dressed in like a nice shirt, pair of trousers, sitting in a nice car, going to a nice school, what would they be? I mean, you can't tell me that 90,000 plus children on the streets are all incapable of becoming doctors, engineers, lawyers, artists, musicians. They also have gifts. They have, you know, creative skills that can benefit this country. But, you know, there's this thing where, you know, as a middle class, we're not paying too much attention to this. But at the end of the day, we are the ones who live in homes that if these boys get really desperate, you know, they will be breaking into your house. So even if you want to look at it from a purely selfish perspective, making sure that they are okay is a better investment than burglary proof, you know. So for me, that's one of my worries, that, you know, 90,000 children on the street, and I'm sure there are more. You know, for a community that we say we care about people and we are hospitable, and yet, you know, we don't take care of our own. So, I mean, for me, it's also about raising consciousness about this situation, and for more people to try and get involved in trying to take these boys, not just off the street, but to get them to be a part of society and community.
And for the young man or young woman who's trying to find their feet around their career paths, what advice would you give to them?
I would say people should strive for excellence and try and do the best wherever they find themselves. And try and commit. Even if you're working for somebody, commit to that job whilst you're there, make an impact. And then if you need to move on, you can move on. I find that generally, and I've run a business for 20 years, 21 years, so we don't take ownership of somebody else's vision. We, in our mind, I'm working hard so that you can have a good life. You forget that every month, you also are part of that good life. So I think for young people to try and take ownership wherever they are, commit to businesses. If you want to do something for yourself, yeah, you know, you can do that. But if you're working for somebody, show some commitment, give of yourself, give of your best, grow that person's business. And whilst you're doing that, you'll be growing personal skills that you can take to either your next job or your next business.
I'd like to say thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us on the PL Show. Pleasure having you.
Appreciate everything.
Very insightful conversation. But we've got a special package from our sponsor for you. Surprise, surprise.
Wow.
Yeah. So Roma says we should give this huge package to you.
Thank you so much. My house will be mosquito free. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It is the 1st of December. Your Christmas message to our viewers.
Well, I like to say that let's not forget the Christ in Christmas. And then as much as we should have a good time and celebrate, we should not forget the less fortunate, like those who are dear to me, the street children. Let's find a way to be generous with our time and with our resources. And let's use Christmas also as a way of planning and reflecting for the new year.
And once again, we'd like to say a big thank you to Franka Maria Andoh, CEO of Josie's Cuppa Cappuccino, a writer and a beautiful mother as well. Don't forget to get interactive with us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all the PL Show.
Should you rumor to me?
And Tonton Master, a baby Jumanamo. She's so madahati. Roma insecticide spray ada Roma. Interfere, Entatia, Mekacheha. No way! Shemikuno, and Tonton Bako crown panel. And also a pussy. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. And how dare we show? Roma,
Roma and Tonton Master.
Wow! My uniform looks different.
Feco spray starch. Majimo point. Ratchet, pause. When you want to remember namunto the morning. Afini spray starch, papa. Onja particles be our water, no wrinkles, smooth ironing.
Yes, Papa. Feco spray starch. Me here perfume.
Also, yes, guy. Feco spray starch.
Look sharp.
Look sharp. Look sharp.
Yena. Cappuccino, why are you?
Oh!
Tum preku. Saso.
Mwa.
Saso. Abban, oh you saso. Yena saso.
Yes, Saso. Madam, Saso. What?
Saso.
Emo beyond that down. Saso. Ekum tuntum. Ni mwa. Saso. Kum tuntum preku.
Welcome back from the commercial break. This is the PL Show. And today I'm super excited. Why? Because I have my proud sponsor, Samara Company Limited, of the PL Show, joining us on today's show. They are the proud producers of Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil in Tuntum Master. Pleasure to have you on the PL Show. Samara Company Limited, what do you do and who is Samara?
Samara Company Limited is into sales and marketing of home care products. It's been in existence for the past 30 years. We started in Arawa, a remote village in Bono Afo region, now Bono East region. We relocated to Techiman. We are awarded the regional distributor for BA. Because of our excellence, we were awarded the national distributor and relocated to Accra. Currently, we have 3 solid brands on the market, which is Saso, Roma, and Feco.
So these 3 strong brands you have mentioned. Definitely. What is unique about your products?
One is 3 things. We have quality, quality. The quality is a bedrock and hallmark. We at Samara, we make sure each moment is memorable. So we provide quality products. You know, we believe that quality pays, so that you don't take your customers for a ride. So definitely the consumers, you need to give them quality. This has made Samara very proud, and Sasso, Roma, and Feco doing very well on the market.
So you mentioned Roma, Sasso, and Feco.
Yeah.
So they're different variants.
That's right.
So break it down for us.
Okay. The only difference between Sasso and Roma is the fragrance. You know, we conducted consumer researches, and then it came up that some of the consumers were asking whether we have other insecticides with different fragrance. And definitely, as human as we are, we have preferences. So if your consumers are asking of different fragrance, you need to respond to their call. Hence, Roma insecticide spray, which is doing marvelously on the market.
Because Sasso is equally doing well. It's your #1 product currently on the market.
Sure.
And then the introduction of Roma. So where can people get your product?
We will encourage everybody to go to the market. We don't sell directly to the consumers. We distribute nationwide. So you can walk into any pharmacy shop, any retail shop, any consumer shops, you get our product to buy.
And as a company, you should have a social corporate responsibility or corporate social responsibility. That's correct. So what are some of the things that Samara has done so far?
Over the past 4 years, we've distributed almost 1 million exercise books and pens to basic schools across the nation. And we've also donated to health facility, specifically Arawa Health Center and other health facilities.
Okay, so it's Christmas and we're just going to begin December. What do you have for your customers?
Definitely we have in stock surprises for our consumers. They've been very good to us, so definitely we are going to surprise them with promotional packages to entice them to buy more of the product.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the PL show. And that's Samara Company Limited, our proud sponsor of the PL show. Producers of Feco Spray Starch, Look Sharp, and Roma Mosquito Coil and Insecticide Spray. Roma, Intuntum Master. Right now, we'll connect with Ellie Karras and bring you #trending.
On today's edition of #trending, we are creating more awareness on the power of eating healthy. As the saying goes, you are what you eat. So, are you feeding on real food or entertaining stuff? Mrs. Nana Owusu-Setre is my guest, a lady who explores the impact of what people eat on their health and lifestyle. My name is Ellie Karras. Welcome. Nana, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Ellie.
How have you been?
I'm wonderful, and you?
I'm good. So I have been reading online about this whole real food diet and it's quite a lot to comprehend. So briefly share with us, what is this whole healthy lifestyle about?
First of all, it looks like it's overwhelming, but it's really not. And it's just you deciding what you want to do and taking your health into your hands and then moving from there. So 5 years ago, I transitioned into a vegan lifestyle. But as you know already, 5 years later, I'm not affiliated to any diet. I just envision myself eating a predominantly plant-based diet and also pitching in more fermented or cultured foods because they improve your gut and build your immunity. And then over time, I've just ended up evaluating the stuff that I apply on my skin and my hair, and I have a daughter and a husband as well. So all of that encompassing is what has transformed my lifestyle. So when you say healthy lifestyle, that's basically it's just being aware of what you put in your body and on your body because everything enters your system, so it counts.
All right. I can't wait to
What do
do
you
justice
think?
to this. Shit. Oh, where's your glass?
Let me
Go me. Cheers. All right.
First impression.
It tastes rich and earthly.
Yes.
I like it. This would be my favorite
Oh,
drink.
thank you. Wonderful.
From now onwards.
Actually, my first Instagram post says say hello to your new favorite drink. So then, there you go.
Hello. I like it. So, are there any effects?
Side effects, no, but I would mention that just because of the natural occurrence of fermentation, there is a trace of alcohol, give or take plus or minus 0.5%. But because of that, if you're avoiding alcohol for religious beliefs, or if you're pregnant, or if you're breastfeeding, it's advised that you stay off kombucha, you know, as a precautionary measure. So those are I would say that's the only if or but about kombucha for the general person.
Under what condition should it be stored?
This must be refrigerated. Kombucha must be kept in the fridge, especially when it's flavored, because this is fruit. And so if it's not kept in the fridge, the more it's out of the fridge, the more it's getting fermented. And this time around it's fruit, so then the taste is not pleasant if you don't keep it in the fridge. So it keeps for 60 days, 60 to 90 days, you're fine. But once you open it, you have to consume it within 48 hours. Yes, but definitely once I sell it, I deliver it frozen, refrigerated on ice. But once you receive it, definitely store it in the fridge as well. Yeah.
You also have a company that is exclusively sourcing mother and baby with eco-friendly products. Do you have anything to show us?
Yes, definitely, all of this. So, as you know, I'm a new mother, just starting the game, and like you said, my lifestyle has transitioned into a 360 evolution. So one thing I was thinking about when I was having my baby was how natural, how earthly can we stay or remain when we have the baby. So then Kaya, which is the brand under Holy Avatar that caters to mother and baby, we came up with these food grade silicone pacifier clips. So this is all food grade. This is no artificial colors. This is all natural dyes, and this is beechwood. And then these teethers come in different colors. This is also food grade silicone, and this is beechwood. And the wood is conditioned with olive oil and Cuppa by essential oil. I have a degree in aromatherapy, so some essential oils kind of soothe the gums of babies, because when their teeth is coming out, it's painful, and as a mother, it's just the worst thing. So you want any and everything that can cure that. And I found a lot of these on the market, but the thing is, I figured if I'm buying this and I'm going to buy Cuppa by essential oil as well, the cost, why not merge both into one and have a product that has both, so I can serve mothers with one product that they can spend on instead of buying essential oils and the teether. So these are the two main things that are branded by me. I do sell other organic products, but they are not under my company. But these two things are made by me. This is handmade by me. This obviously isn't, but it's responsibly sourced from China. But these I handcraft. I put the beads together myself, the colors and everything, and then I sell them. So that's the two main things that come under Kaya, which is also part of the Holy Raptor brand.
Kindly just take us through the creation of the...
Sure. So you find a tape measure here, but I'm not a seamstress. It's just to measure the length of the twine which is needed. So I measure up until maybe, let's say, 22 inches is fine. Yes.
I need to add more?
No, you're fine, because you want to make room for the hooking of the teether or the pacifier. So now I have this. All I'm going to do is to tie a little knot here so that the beads don't fall off once it gets to the consumer. Oh, this is too tiny, but you get the point. So now we have this. So what happens is that when I sell this to you, which is the same as this is bigger. I think I used a shorter length. You hook it onto the baby this way. So this clip over here goes onto the baby. So these two things.
Let me see our doll.
The baby.
Our pretty brown skin doll.
Brown skin dummy for the day. This is her pants or her top, whichever one it is. So you're going to hook this onto the baby. so that, you know, the thing with kids is they drop things easily because they don't have a grasp until they're about 11, 12 months. So if I'm just going to put this on her mouth, the tendency for her to drop it is quite high. But if I hook it onto a passy clip, then she's in the bouncer, she's in the car seat, she's in the stroller, it's just there. Even if she gets up, it falls off this way, but this is not falling off. Yes. So what you do is you just hook it on to the pacifier this way.
All right.
This. And then I just hook this onto the baby, put in her mouth, and here we go. It's not falling off. Obviously, when they're crawling, when they're crawling, you might want to take it off, but when they're sitting or in a stroller or sleeping, it's totally fine to have this. So very, very convenient, and you have really fun colors as well. When you have a teether as well, because sometimes you're traveling with a teething baby, you can also hook the teether. Okay, this goes with this clip, so we'll use this. You can also hook the teether this way. Go into the loop. So it doesn't fall off again. And then I'm just going to hook this onto the baby. And then she has it in her arms, in her hands this way. So she can be chewing on this while she's going on a little stroll. And again, it doesn't fall off just because of this little clip over here, and they can hold on to it. Some babies are good enough, they'll hold on to the ring, but when you want to play it safe, just hook it onto the passy. And as you can see, I have good colors that can blend with the teether to make sure that, you know, you're just combining and being fashionable at the same time. But that's it with the teethers and the passy.
And this is eco-friendly.
Yes, these are all food-grade silicone beech wood, conditioned with virgin olive oil and kid-safe Cuppa by essential oil. So everything, my baby has her own, which is this is his. So I know that whatever I can have for my baby, because I'm very conscious about these things, that's what I want to sell to the consumer as well.
To general issues, how do we set realistic goals when it comes to staying healthy?
Definitely start with a budget. Like I said, you don't have to wake up one day and eat zucchini when you know that you like rice. So even if you're cooking rice, if you typically use, like I said, table salt and vegetable oil, just transition into coconut oil or avocado oil or olive oil and just pink salt or sea salt. That's a good enough transition on its own. Over time, do less of maybe the rice and more veggies, you know, cauliflower, broccoli, lettuce, carrots, onions, cabbage. Just saute it nicely in like lemon juice and salt. Those two always do the trick. And then add like a side of protein. And that's a good, I mean, we like rice in Ghana, so that's a good Ghanaian meal, I would say. So that's realistic enough. But over time, you're also training your palate. So if you're doing more veggies and less of the stuff you're used to, you will find that your body wants more of that. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit. And if that's true, which I find it to be, over time you will say, okay, maybe I like carrots, maybe I don't like zucchini. So okay, let me do more carrots or less zucchini. And you build yourself up that way, and you find that, you know, your body adapts to your new lifestyle, whether you like it or not, because you are what you eat, you are what you become. A continuous lifestyle would definitely be a part of you.
And it takes discipline.
It definitely does, yes.
My baby won't sit.
She's been a little stubborn.
Real food is healthy for all. Let's all do well to support the movement, to keep active and feel great. Also, whenever you are purchasing kombucha, yes, do well to buy from reputable brands like hers. Find out more on her Instagram page, Holy Ever After. Thank you so much once again for having us, Nana.
Thank you so much. It's definitely my pleasure.
My name is Elikaris, and this has been #Trending. Thank you so much for watching.
Well, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us on today's PL show, and thanks to Elikaris for bringing us #Trending. The PL show was brought to you by Roma Insecticide Spray and Coil in Tuntum Master, Feco Spray Starch, Look Sharp, My Cloth or Fabric by Sunshine Fabrics, Outfit from Voguish, and Hair by Reggie Orange Beauty Salon. And here's the lessons that I learned from Franka Maria Andoh. Be persistent, be diligent, and be committed. But most of all, be true to yourself and be you. All right, so see you same time next week right here on the PL Show. But don't forget to interact with us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It is the PL Show. My name is Klordey Fritzal Abban. It's been a great pleasure coming your way with the PL Show. We'll see you next week, God willing. Bye-bye.